Hey guys, it's Technical Cycle Repair. Today we're going to be talking about measuring your shims. If you got a 4-stroke, you got to learn how to do your valves. You got to learn how to adjust them. And one of the frustrating things is throwing in a shim, measuring your valves, finding out they're still out even though you did it by the book and by the numbers. One of the biggest problems that I see with shims is that when you measure them, the actual size of the shim is different than what's printed on the shim. So if you need, say, a 175 shim and you grab one out of the 175 bin that's marked 175 and you stick it in, but it really only measures a 170 or a 172, you're not going to be where you're at. And the problem is, if you use your feeler gauge and you stick it in there and you find out what your gap is, you pull a shim out, you read the shim size off of the shim that's in there, and you do the numbers by the book and you grab the other shim by the number and stick it in there, you're probably going to be off. So you got to do it, and you got to do it right. So what you want to do is actually measure your shims. So make sure you get a good caliper, a good brand caliper, and measure them. For here I have a, for example, I got a shim here. This shim right here is it's a Honda CRF shim, and or 7.5 millimeter shim. But this one right here is marked as a 174. So I sit here and I can consistently measure this thing at 166 and 167. All right, constantly. Like here's a 167. All right, 167, and this shim right here. I don't know if you'll be able to see it in the camera, but it's marked a 174. All right. So there we have a 174 shim that's measuring as a 167. So what the hell are you going to do with that? I'll tell you what you're going to do. You're going to measure your shims, all right? So what you got to do is measure your shim. You got to figure out what you need. So behind me here, I got a little chart that I just drew out for you to do the math. The math's real simple. I'm going to move you in closer so you can see it. But it's real simple. Basically what you do is you take your, get your gap, figure out what your measurement is with your feeler gauges, and in this case, it's a .003. So now you know what that is. You take your shim out and you measure your shim. All right. So measuring the shim in there that I have in there now in this particular bike, and the intake valve is a 154. So you take your 154, you add what your gap is, which is a .003, and then you get a 157. And then you subtract the gap that you're looking for, which is a .005. Right? And then you'll get a 152. So the shim that I need is a 152. So what I'll do then is I'll jump into the box and I'll pull out all the shims out of the 155, out of the 150, out of the 160, and I'll find one that measures up a 152. And if I measure one that measures a 152, I know that when I stick that in, it's going to be right. If you grab one right out of the 150, or you just round it up, you're going to be off. And if you're really particular about your valves, you want to make sure that it's right. You want to make sure you have the right ones. So let me show you this chart right here. All right, so what we got here, all right, here's our chart. And what I'm talking about here, it's real simple. All right, you got your 154, you add your gap what's in there now, and you're gonna get 157. You take your 157, you subtract the gap that you want, .005, and you're gonna get a shim size of 152. All right, so here it is, and I don't know, maybe I don't know my math. Maybe that's all right here. We got 154 plus .003. So in brackets, you do that first, subtract your .005, and that equals your shim size. And now that's the best math you're going to get out of me, guys, okay? So what we got here is just, something that just happens with these shims. They're manufactured. You want to get the best brand kit you can when you get them. Get a good brand kit, but measure them before you put them in there. Don't just assume that the sizes on there are correct, because they're usually not. And what it's going to help is just going to help you from having to do your shims over and over and over again. If you keep going by the numbers and you stick it in, you're going to get frustrated because you'll stick the feeler gauge back in there, and it's off again. So make sure when you put your shims in and you mount everything back in, you rotate the motor completely so it sets everything where it's going to be before you measure it, so you get an accurate measurement. Use a good set of feeler gauges so you're getting true measurements out of everything, and get those shims done right. It's an important step in these 4-strokes, keeping them alive, and it also gives you an idea what your valves are doing, if they're wearing out, if they're pushing up into the head, and if they're having any problems, guys. So make sure you get your valves measured correctly. Please like the video, subscribe for me, it helps out. Hit the bell for further notification, guys. I'm keeping videos up every Monday. Until next time, this is Technical Cycle Repair.